Hey girl.
Hey girl. Hello
How's it?
everyone.
Hey party people.
Hey
How's it
listeners.
going?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, just amazing. Not cold at all.
Is it cozy over there in your village?
I mean, it is. It's, do you ever just some days you feel really cold and you can't get warm?
Every day of my life. My mom says it's because I don't work out.
I wasn't going to say anything. Excuse me while I just passive aggressively file my nail. I wasn't going to say anything, but that's absolutely why it is.
Is it?
Your
Because I have poor circulation?
Yeah, your metabolism isn't kicked into gear correctly.
Oh, Jesus. How's your workout regiment over there in England?
Oh God, you know what? I haven't been doing my pole dancing classes. Well, I did find a place to do pole dancing, and it's been like pulling teeth to get this woman to give me a fucking class schedule, to the point where now I feel like, is this just like a people trafficking ring? And I'm going to get robbed, clobbed, and knobbed when I go to this fake pole dancing class in a dodgy part of Havant.
Yeah,
And
maybe you should just stick to being a part of the bell choir. How are
yeah,
those rehearsals going?
Well, it's this Thursday, so we'll find out. I was away last Thursday.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
On my trip of a lifetime.
Well,
sorry,
my
nail is breaking.
All I've seen on your Instagram is oysters and champagne, so that doesn't really look like much working out to me.
No, but when you get diarrhea from oysters, you lose weight, so it's fine.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, I actually didn't eat the oysters. Not for me, gotta say.
What do you mean?
I didn't have the oysters. I just thought they looked beautiful. I had the champagne, obviously. And
you're just posting pictures of other people's food?
No, it was everyone around me was eating the oysters. I just thought it was a dazzling display, so I took a picture of it.
It really was.
I kept shells because I just liked them so much. I asked the host if I could have the shells, and she very graciously bagged them for me. So those
where are they now?
Sitting in the garden. Still haven't really properly cleaned them. I'm just hoping nature will kind of take care of it.
Clean them for you.
But yeah, my workout regimen has been mostly consisting of really long walks most days. As you know, I took a little trip up north.
I can't wait.
Started in Cheshire, then went to the Lake District, then came back down to the Forest of Dean in Wales. Then I went to the Cotswolds, and then I came home. And I guess when you get into your 30s, you sort of enjoy things like a walking holiday, which is not something I could have envisioned myself being interested in, but here I am.
I love that about being in England. You just walk every day. You just do.
Yeah.
You just go on a walk. That's like a daily occurrence. And I love that. I'm going to go out on a walk today, even though I'm not in England.
Do you miss England? Or
oh,
are you
God, I'm
glad to be back?
Sick about it. Every day I'm sick about it. But I just got done with an audiobook that made me feel like I was still there, which I'll tell you all about.
You're throwing yourself into life back in LA, and you're feeling very positive today. You said what did you say to me?
That I'm high on life. I just feel like stupidly optimistic. You know when you have that where you just feel foolishly, childishly optimistic and you're giddy over it and you just don't know why?
As an English person, no, I cannot say that I relate.
Exactly. You said it's a very American thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about today, is these lovely differences between American versus English. It's going to be a really fun conversation. But yeah, I mean, I've learned that about moods and emotions. They come and go. Everything comes and goes in life. And so some days you're really sad for no reason. And some days you're angry for no reason. And other days you're giddy for no reason. And you feel like anything is possible. And there's no logic to it. It's just a really interesting thing. So I'm having a couple good days and I'm grateful because I needed them. I had a couple bad days right before. So whatever.
Yeah, I think that it's really good to remember that, isn't it? That it's like grief, every other emotional experience, all that stuff, it comes in waves. It's not sticking around 100% of every day and night for forever. It's good, because I think if you can maintain that mentality, not just for when things are hard, but when things are good, then maybe people could be a bit more sort of, I don't want to say grateful, I fucking hate using that word.
I know.
But, a bit more kind of jazzed about the good days and lean into them a bit more, because really I think we only really talk about that when it's like the bad days aren't going to last forever, don't worry. But it's like, okay, but neither are the good days, so fucking juice the shit out of it. So thanks for saying that.
True.
I think that's really nice that you do that.
The other day, Will had a big meeting, top company here in LA for his music. And after the meeting, we didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but I said, let's go celebrate. And we went and we sat outside and we had a pint, and he had a little trouble with it. And he said, I don't feel like we should be celebrating because I don't know if it's going to be a good answer or not. And I said, that's not what we're celebrating. We're not celebrating the outcome. We're celebrating that today we woke up and we had the courage to go to a meeting like that and put everything we had into it and make the effort and show up for ourselves and plant a seed for our career. That's something to celebrate. Why don't we all do that more? Like the fact that you got up today and put your clothes on and brushed your teeth and went outside and said, you know what? I'm going to go to my bell choir practice down the street.
And I hate brushing my teeth.
Well, you said you're not going to anymore. How's that going?
Yeah, well, I do, obviously, every day, twice a day. Fucking cocked by my own toothbrush. That is good. And I agree with you so much. And I'm so big on that. I'm so big on just celebrating in the way that you've just described. It's that super mega cringe expression. It's the journey.
Yes.
It is the journey. And if you get to celebrate a wonderful outcome of a meeting, fantastic.
Yeah.
But you got up, you did it, you smashed it, you got your pussy on straight, you did your best. Let's celebrate that.
That's right. And I said to him, think of all the days that you don't get a big meeting. Think of all the days that you're wishing you had that meeting. Today you had it.
Yeah. Love it. Obsessed.
So even if you're not in the entertainment industry and you don't have business meetings, like I'm saying, you can apply it to your own life wherever you are.
Agree totally. I'm on hiatus from the entertainment industry. I am now a professional photographer of the English countryside. I am an Instagrammer
of other people's meals, other people's dishes on the table,
other people's food. I'm now a professional voyeur. I still do it.
Before you were just an amateur voyeur. You weren't making a living at it, but now it's legit. No.
And I'll tell you why it's legit, Lucy Walsh. Wow, you are going to be proud of me. I've got my eyes are sort of welling up slightly. I did a Lucy Walsh, and I did an influence. I wanted to stay at this hotel, and there was a room in the hotel that had a big crazy ass bed in, and you know the hotel I'm telling you about.
Dying to hear this story.
Okay, and we're gonna talk about that hotel room.
Yes.
But I wanted this room, and I wanted it, but I wanted to see if I could do an influence and get the room for less, because it was very expensive. And I'll pay for things, but I just wanted to test it. I just wanted to see what would happen.
No harm done.
And I emailed them and I said, hi there, my name's Annabel Jones, and I host a podcast, and I do this and I do that. And I've got.
Did you tell them your dad is a legendary English icon?
I didn't mention my dad. I just mentioned you and me doing our podcast.
Wow.
That we're on Apple Top 100 podcasts in multiple countries.
Yep.
That I've got over 5,000 followers on my Instagram, and I'm verified, and I would love to promote the hotel when I come and stay there. And they said to me, we would love for you to promote the hotel when we come and stay here, and we'll give you 15% off of your room.
Oh my God, look at you.
I know. And I was so scared to do it, Lucy. I was so terrified. As an English person,
right,
it felt like I was haggling. And every cringe, it gave me the ick. My cringeometer went into the ick-ometer. We went through cringe into ick. And but I did it, and it was a good result. And so now I'm a professional influencer.
I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Well, that's huge on many levels. It's huge because that is the correct way to use everything we're building on these stupid social media outlets. They really are a good thing in the way that you can connect with people around the world, like I've said before. But then also, what are you building it for if not to parlay it forward into things that interest you? And so that's huge. Also huge is that it took you courage to do that, to put yourself out there, to promote yourself in that way, to take a risk, because they could have come back and said no. And that's the risk that you're taking, is that doesn't feel good. That sucks to like be denied like that. So you took that risk, you won out, and everyone was happy. It's a win-win for them and you. So I woke up in the middle of the night. I was getting these pictures on my phone from this crazy room you were staying in with this 4-poster bed.
Oh God, it was Lucy.
Can you tell us the other side of this story, please, that I've been waiting to hear since you texted me that night?
So I was so excited to go and stay in this hotel and stay in this. It was a hunting lodge built for Charles II in the Forest of Dean, which is in Gloucestershire, and it's very close to the border of Wales. So I wanted to go and stay at this place and sleep in this spooky bed, and I wanted to walk to Wales, which everyone thought I was crazy for, and it turned out I was, but I did it. To all the haters and losers,
How long did it take?
It took me all day. And on the way home, I wanted to cry, and my legs were shaking, and I had to take the long way home because I couldn't traverse down the mountain because my legs were like
Jesus.
And it was dark. It was getting dark.
Yeah, because
it
was dark at 4. Did you take provisions?
Yeah, luckily we did. Yeah. And the walk back wasn't as bad because it wasn't climbing up multiple hills and mountains.
Were your provisions champagne?
No, I wish that's actually a really good idea. That is what I just kept thinking to myself. I wouldn't survive in a survivalist situation that was in the cold. I categorically wouldn't survive. I would have to keep walking and stay awake all night long in order to survive. We were so excited to get to this place, and Alec and I, and we had looked at it online, and I did my influence to get the bed that I wanted to stay in, which was this huge 7-foot by 7-foot monster of a thing.
It was beautiful.
And I'll share pics. And the place that we stayed was called the Speech House, and it was in the dead center of the Forest of Dean, and it is where the Forest Court was held and is still held from the 1600s to today. And there is a board of verderers who are the Forest Court. They are elected. They are the middle person between the crown and they say the vert and venison, so the greenery and the trees and the animals. And they protect people chopping down trees. You can still be hung for killing one of the Queen's deers. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that's their job, is to basically, no one's getting hung for that in this day and age, but legally you still can. So
did you also know there's some law in England where you are allowed to shoot someone with a bow and arrow at midnight on the first Thursday of the year? I don't know. It's only one day a year at midnight you're allowed to shoot someone with a bow and arrow for some old law that used to be in existence.
England is so wacky. I fucking love it.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, we're staying at the Speech House. It's lovely. It's super mad, batty place, and it's an old hunting lodge that's been used as a hotel since the 1800s. The Crown lets it out as to the people as to be used as an inn, and very excited to stay there. We get into the room.
Mm-hmm.
And we walk through this 1600s building, which has obviously got a few additions over the years. And we get in the room, and immediately I'm just like, right. It's just very thick energy in the room. And I just thought, okay, it must be, everything's very grand in here. I think I'm tired and I haven't eaten, and we've been walking all day. So I'm getting ready and I'm looking at the mirror. I'm sitting at this giant vanity mirror. And I was very struck by this piece of furniture, not the bed or the massive wardrobes or any of that, this mirror. And I looked at it and I said, this was a lady's at one point, and she thought her way of life was going to be forever. And now her mirror is sitting here in a hotel, in a bridal suite. This room is used frequently as a bridal suite. Wow. So there's all these women sitting in there, you know, however frequently they have weddings at that place, in this mirror that once belonged to probably a very rich woman. And it just really struck me. And I carried on, you know, with the rest of the evening, not thinking about it anymore. And I was just feeling more and more strange. And Alec was feeling strange. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm being weird. I think I need to eat. I'm tired. And he's like, no, I'm feeling really weird too. He's like, I think it's just too grand in here. I think the furniture's too big and it's really overwhelming in here. And I just looked at him and I was like, and it's fucking haunted. And he was like, no, why did you say it? Why did you say it out loud? I was really hoping you weren't going to say that. Oh. And we just looked at each other and I was like, well, look, we're staying here now. So we're in the room. What can you do? So I did a Lucy Walsh again for the second time of my trip to the Forest of Dean. And I said, well, we're just going to have to negotiate with her, because I truly felt a strong, strong female presence in the room. So I stood in the middle of the room and I said, lady, thank you so much for having us in this room. I think it's beautiful. I love your mirror. And if it's okay, I'm going to put my things on it and I'm going to use it for the next couple of days. And I really respect this space and I'm grateful to you. And I've paid my fair share to be here. So I feel that I'm fairly in the space and I will be respectful and enjoy it while I'm here in your presence, using your mirror. Hope we can have a nice few days together. And Alec and I just looked at each other and we're hoping something would happen. I don't know. But
and did you feel a shift?
Massively.
Yeah.
And I feel this has never happened to me before. Outside of, you know, a home or something. It never happened to me in a hotel. And I felt a massive shift, and Alec did too. It was crazy. And then I was like, oh, we're probably just imagining it. And then it came back and we addressed her again. And then there was lots of other strange energy in place. And that evening we read on one of the old scriptures on the wall when we went downstairs that when it was used as a proper court, there was jail cells in the cellars. And there's also a room that has a whipping post in it. God. It was a lot of very intense really energy in there.
Dense energy, layers and layers. Yeah.
That's how it felt. It felt, and obviously it's seen so many phases, that place.
Yes.
So it was the first time that I've experienced a piece of furniture specifically feeling haunted. And the mirror felt very different to the bed and to the rest of the hotel, if that makes sense. So we we just had a little chat with the ghosties and carried on our way, and it was great.
Wow.
It definitely wasn't like gone, but it was not breathing heavily.
Wasn't so down your neck.
No, it wasn't down on X.
Yes.
And there was something about the bridal thing that felt very like a hot button for this energy. There was something about it that was disturbing to the energy, the bridal thing. And I couldn't tell if it was that I wasn't a bride, and I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't tell if it was because there was too many brides going through there, and no one was acknowledging it, and and then just that alone, I was laying in the bath that night thinking, think of all of that energy alone, of all the brides that go through there, the anticipation, the excitement, the fear, the people thinking, why am I doing this? I can't do this. I can't do this. That alone, forget any history, any past, is in the space.
Yes. And that always riles up spiritual activity, high emotional levels. That's why in a home where there are teenagers is where the most poltergeist activity happens. That's why it happens, is because the high levels of emotions of teenagers is riling up so powerfully that the spiritual activity. And I think it would be the same with the high levels of a bride. You're totally right. That's really interesting.
Because I was just laying there in the bath thinking, I wonder how many women have laid in this bath the night before their wedding.
Hundreds.
Thinking, oh, what's my life going to be like? I'm so excited. I can't wait. Or I've got regrets, or I can't do this, or,
Yeah. And also what you're saying about feeling the energy from the piece of furniture, that's a really great way to practice being open to spirit by taking anything. It could be this pen, it could be this candelabra behind me, which is a couple 100 years old. You take the item and you just pay attention to how it makes you feel when you hold it in your hands. And if it's a piece of furniture, you can put your hands on it. If it's a bed, you can lay in the bed, whatever. But we are sensitive to everything around us, and everything holds energy. And Yvette, Will's mom, is really wild at this. She can take so many things and put them in her hands and come up with stuff. And she's right. Like they will check it. They will check it with historians and stuff. And she's spot on. So you can really develop your senses through the things around you. So I'm sure you felt a lot from the things you were surrounded by in that room.
It very much felt, before we read the scripture on the wall, we didn't know about any of the history of the place before we went there. We just knew that we wanted to go and stay in this old hunting lodge. I didn't know it was built for a king. I didn't know that it was the court still to this day. I didn't know about the darker side of it, with the jails and the whipping posts and all of that. And I could feel it before I knew it, if that makes sense. I knew that there was
you were piecing it together from what you were feeling.
Yeah, it was so interesting. And it's just a really interesting female energy in general in there. There was one male staff member. One.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And that I really was noticing that everyone was female, which I thought was really interesting. But anyways, why did we get onto that? Fuck. I'm really excited to tell you that I did a Lucy Walsh, and I just messaged someone and was like, hey, let me tell you something that you might want to know.
Shameless. You're shameless.
I know I was, and it felt great.
Well, the thing I wanted to mention about England was this audiobook that I just finished.
Oh, yeah.
I got home from England a couple of weeks ago, and I was feeling really sad, really homesick for it. And I just wanted to stay there in my mind. And so I just Googled like English story, and this thing came up, this book of this woman, which probably our English listeners will know who she is. Her name is Anne Glenconner, and she was one of the ladies in waiting to the Queen at the coronation.
Wow.
She's changed my life. She's a dear friend of mine now. She's in her early 90s. She just released this audiobook with her reading her own
Wow.
book in 2019. And now in 2021, she's written her first novel in her early 90s. This woman's life is so incredible. I do believe she's of the line of the Earls of Leicester. From the time she was a tiny girl growing up with Princess Margaret and Princess Elizabeth,
Wow.
through their teenage years into being asked to be one of 6 ladies in waiting for Queen Elizabeth's coronation. She talks about the behind the scenes rehearsals that they went through. I mean, she's with the Queen, like back behind the curtains, just telling you everything about the experience. And then through that, she got into this marriage that wasn't arranged, but it was, this man is so fucking eccentric and just lived this insane life, dragging her around, had so many mistresses, men and women. He drug the whole family to this island called Mustique, where there was nothing on it. It was a cotton island. And he has since turned it into this getaway,
massive destination.
Yes, the rich and famous, where like Mick Jagger has a home there and everyone has homes there. And he did that. And he's been crowned the king of Mustique now by the Queen.
Sick.
And she just takes you through this life she's had, full of losses. One of her sons died of AIDS. One of them died of hepatitis C from doing heroin. She's had many losses, many beautiful things happen in her life. She had a lifelong friendship with Princess Margaret until Princess Margaret died. She was the closest person to her. And at the end of her book, she said, I'm in my early 90s. I'm going to live until well over 100. I'm just going to make the most out of my life and have a great time. And I just sat there at the end of it, just so undone by this, because it was so inspiring. And then at the end, it was like Caribbean music, like this good feeling, like kind of dance music.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's so like not what you would expect an English aristocrat to tell you in their book.
Yeah.
And she surprised me so much. And she just threw so many curveballs with the way she responded to things. I mean, she talks just like the Queen, you know, her accent is very, very uptight and she's very refined and she's like this, but she's had this marvelous, wild romp of a life. And I just found it so inspiring. And it was interesting. You don't know where things come from or why they come to you. But I know and believe that how that book came to me is how spirit guides us through our lives. So like I've said before, I communicate with what I call my spirit guides every day. And I ask them questions. I ask them for signs. I ask them for clarity for what I should do. And I find, and I've learned in researching all about that phenomenon, the way that they communicate with you is through giving you an idea to Google something as simple as English story. And that to come to me. And then I felt like I got some confirmation of it because my mom came over and I sat down with her and I said, let's watch like Scottish house building, because I'm always watching, like somebody buys a castle in Scotland and flips it and sells it again and redoes it. So I just went into the search on the thing and I typed in like Scotland Manor, whatever. And up comes this show where these two people retrace the steps of Queen Victoria, excuse me. Because, you know, when she was a teenager, her mother took her all over the empire so that she could meet the people. And she went on this grueling trip where she was just constantly traveling in coaches, which would be bumpy and take a long time. And then she would show up at these manor houses, blah, blah, blah. They have all these episodes where they show you what she would have eaten. They make the recipe and they show you the house.
Love
and we choose, when I say, Mom, which one do you want to watch? It was categorized by the food. And my mom said, oh, I want to watch the one about the eggs, the expensive eggs that they prepared for her. And we click on it and we watch it. It's at Holcomb House, Holcomb Manor.
Oh, wow.
Where Lady Anne Glenn Connor's family was. And I just thought, what are the fucking chances of that? Like,
yeah.
You can
poo-poo, quite niche.
Poo-poo signs all you want. But to me, I was in the middle of that 9-hour audiobook. And then for that episode to come in that took place at her house, I needed it. That's the bottom line. That's my bottom line for this long story I'm telling you, is
you needed that little nudge from spirit.
I needed it at that time, and it made such an impact on me. And I think it has a lot to do with my good days that I've had the last couple of days, because I just finished it like day before yesterday, and it just sent me on such an upward trajectory of just an excited attitude about life. And that's how spirit helps us. And so I'm tying that in with what you just told us about the room you stayed in, because why did you have the idea to go to that hotel? Why were you drawn to it? Why did you go to that room? Like you in the space where you are, Annabelle, in your life right now, where you've been a bride and you'll be a bride again, but you're between those phases right now, mourning the loss of your husband. And here you are in a bridal suite, connecting with the spiritual energy that's affecting you really deeply. What's it all about?
Yeah.
I don't think these things are accidents.
No, I think it was really interesting as well, especially given the timing of I'm just in this weird place in my grief at the moment where it doesn't feel productive or rewarding. It doesn't feel like it's teaching me anything. It can't be fixed. It can't be moved. It's just...
It is what it is.
It is there. And what I'm realizing it is through talking with Jeff, my therapist, and, thinking about the strange dreams I've been having and the strange feelings I've been having, is that this part of the grieving and mourning process is where I face absence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that drafty space is the absence of the person, people that I love. And this phase of grief will be very long, because it's going to be years. And I felt very aware of that just days into this new kind of feeling I was having. And at the beginning of the grief, it's all about the loss. It's all about the past, and you're grappling and you're trying to stem the flow, memories, and where are they, and what is it, and can I remember this, and I need to write down this, and it's rushing and fast and violent and acute, and it's all the past. But to live in the present and to have a future, I can't stay in that place. I cannot stay living in the past. I'm going to meet new friends and have new experiences and go to new places and fall in love and do all of this stuff. I have to learn to live with the absence, and it is going to live alongside the rest of my life and my experiences, because the absence is the present.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I can't turn away from it. I've known people in my life who never allow themselves to leave that early place of grief where you're living in the past, and they're driven mad by it. They're driven mad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Their lives are ruined.
See it in many movies and books. It's a real thing.
It's Havisham.
Yeah.
And it's strange, because you kind of have to close the door quite proactively on the past in a way, and that's not forgetting, and it's not
closing the door on the person.
It's not closing the door on Ryan and Max. It's it's kind of closing the door on the past in order to be able to live in the present, and just know that there's going to be an absence of loss there.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out I've been straddling the two for the last, since I got back to England.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very difficult. And I now know that I want to move into the present fully,
mm-hmm.
which means accepting this drafty place called absence.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite profound that I had that experience while I'm sort of
making that
letting
conscious
go.
decision.
Yeah, and letting go of the married woman, and letting go of my identity as, you know, of being just a widow, because now I'm in another relationship and I'm not just Ryan's widow, I'm also Alec's girlfriend.
Right.
So
you're a born again version. A born again
version and virgin. Yeah.
Yeah, a born again version. I like that. I may have just created something fantastic. Yes, and
You know,
so and you will be the blushing bride again in your life, maybe, if you choose to get married again. But these different, you know, and I've been married a few times, and so you go through these phases of life, like we were saying at the beginning of the episode, that it comes in waves.
And just a funny little anecdote to round up that story. When I was laying in the bath, Alec came in and I said, there she is. And he looked at me. He's seen a ghost. Because I said, there she is. Pull back the curtain. And he went, his hand shaking. He pulled back the curtain. And I was like, the moon, you fucking idiot. It's a full moon. I just wanted to look at the moon out the window. And he was terrified.
You have to be very careful with your words in a haunted place.
I know. And also because we've been calling her Lady, the ghost in the room, we've been calling her Lady. And he was like, I thought I was about to pull back the window and see a fucking ghost, or that you had finally cracked.
Yeah.
Oh God. So
wow.
Anyway, it was a great trip, and the Lake District is just incredible and otherworldly.
Wow.
Almost otherworldly. The water is so clear that it's like a mirror. It's as though you're looking at glass. It reflects the mountains back at it. Completely pristine, completely clear. And one day it was sunny and bright and warm, obviously cold, but warm. We went on this long walk. I've wanted to go to this place called the Grot for years, which is where Wordsworth would sit and look at this waterfall inside of this viewing post that was made by the guy that built this great hall that it's in the grounds of, Rydal Hall. And the next day it was so misty, you couldn't see a hand in front of your face. You know,
hello. Gilbert came to say hello.
Gilbert.
Hello to everybody.
Is it good boy?
Yeah.
Oh, he looks nice. He looks so good. Did you pretty boy? Oh, his little hand, he's like, get the fuck off me, Mom.
Like, Mom. All right, yeah. So you were sitting at this place where Wordsworth sat.
Yeah, and it was just beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful. The Lake District I've wanted to go there my whole life. It's Beatrix Potter lived there, and Wordsworth, and it just feels for me, it's very charged because, you know, Coleridge and just all these people that I admire their work so deeply.
Yes.
And not just their work, their philosophies, their outlook on the world and their way of life. It's more than just the work. It's more than just the productivity. It's the philosophy that I cherish and am a fan of. And then obviously we went to the Forest of Dean, and then we went to the Cotswolds, which I found out, I thought the Cotswolds was this faraway magical fairy kingdom that's going to take me 6 hours to get to. It's an hour and a half away from where I live. It's been an hour and a half away my whole life.
Right.
And it's just the most perfect. Imagine Beauty and the Beast 1990 version, the village, but it's real life. It's like what Disney World bases its kind of cottagey things off of, except for it's real life. We went to Castle Combe and it was just, I couldn't believe it was real.
I know. That's where Will's dad lives, so that's where I got to spend Christmas. And I just
at Castle Combe, or
well, no,
the
the Cotswolds. And you're just, I can't believe my eyes. I would just be like, I'm going for a walk, because I've never seen something like that in America where I live in California. Everything here is freaking Adobe. Like, we don't have
at best.
Jesus, if you have anything with any character, it's Adobe built in, the Spanish missions. That's what we have. But the entire village is made of stone buildings. Like, you've never seen anything like it.
The walls, I've got this new passion for walls. There are so many ways, ancient ways a wall can be built. I love the walls that are kind of before they started using any kind of cement or binding type of gluing agent.
It's genius.
And it's just things balanced, but it's an impenetrable wall.
Yeah. You couldn't push it over, but it's just stacked on top of itself. And it's brilliant. It's just pure science. It's got a lot
of wall pics on my
God, me too. A good wall with some ivy. Oh, please, 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 please. Like wall porn.
Yeah, that my friend has an Instagram account. She's a wall influencer. It says, I've got a thing for walls.
Yeah.
And
if there's a gate in the wall, stop it.
Fucking hell. Just forget about it. So there's this woman in Castle Combe, right?
Yeah.
She runs a little coffee shop out of her doorway. So she just puts a little cart outside her front door in the morning with cakes on it. You put money in the box. And then there's a sign that says knock for a coffee. And you just knock on the door. And Ellen answers the door. She's just watching TV. Got her fucking slippers on. Yeah, all right, what do you want?
Legend.
I'll have a latte.
No.
She's like, great. Close the door. She goes in, makes you a latte, brings it out for you.
No.
Goes back and finishes watching her TV program.
Legendary Ellen. Oh my God.
I know. It's just such a great place. I felt slightly guilty in a way being there, because I thought, we've ruined your way of life, you people.
They're hanging on.
I know, but I mean, obviously they're making money from it, and there's no way that it would be so well preserved if it wasn't such a destination. Obviously tourism for England and the local council are probably just taking great care of Castle Combe, but it did make me wonder what their lives are like, and do they just get sick of us all descending on them every day to take pictures of their perfect village? I don't know.
That's a good question. I want to say, I mean, of course you can't blanket everybody. I'm sure everyone in the village feels differently, but I want to say, I mean, they're just so lovely all the time. So I can't imagine that they would be that bothered. They're so kind in England on the street in these little villages, because that's just the way you people are over there. It's such small knit communities that everyone looks out for each other and connects every day in passing. And I think it's a much more hive mentality than in America, because you come here to go off on your own. That's kind of
every man for themselves.
Yeah, every man for himself. You find that's a big difference.
Sorry, but I find that sad. I think that's sad.
I do too. I mean, it's just different. It's just a different, I don't know. It's just different. It's a different country. But I find in English villages like that, what I've experienced is that there's such a kindness and an interest in each other that blows me away every time I'm there. And I mean, they're looking at you. They want to know who's here, what's the gossip, who's this person, what's going on. They live for their gossip, which is funny. But did you find that, I mean, you're English, so they're going to respond to you differently than
everyone was very polite. It's more just a thing of, since I've been back here, I've become much more aware of the effect of tourism in small villages, because there's been a lot of changes around here since I left. In the sense that, they're big on ecotourism now. And the truth of ecotourism is that it's destroying local people's way of life. They're about to build tourist kind of cottage, eco cottages in the woods across from our house.
You're right, Annabelle. I saw so many developments with just like,
Mhm.
here's what we're planning, a village of houses. And Will
Yeah.
would be driving, be like, what would that wasn't there 3 years ago.
Mhm.
What is
And
that?
so around here, it's protected at South Downs National Park. You can't just put houses up. You can't do anything like that. But what you can do is they're desperate for tourism because they need to make their money because people aren't building houses. So they're kind of giving people the green light to do things that they shouldn't really be doing. And especially in the woods across from us, they're building these massive, massive things, 10 of them. It's basically a Butlins for anyone who doesn't know what that is. It's kind of a place that you go in the countryside to do, you know, outdoor activities, and it's a holiday village. But in the woods across from my house, we've got 5 endangered species and one of the rarest bats in Europe. And they're cutting down trees.
Yeah.
And it goes against everything that the South Downs National Park is meant to stand for. But for some reason, they've greenlit this development. None of us know why. Lawyers don't know why. Nobody knows why. And since learning more about that and learning about light pollution and the way that when we walk around woodlands, it disrupts animals and all of that stuff, I've become much more aware of that since coming back on this trip. And I'm ashamed to say it's definitely because it's affecting me now personally in a way that it wasn't before. I've taken more of an interest in it, which I think is what naturally people do. I've always known it's bad, but now I'm pissed because it's in the woodland across from my house. And you know, I've taken for granted the fact that I look out my window now and it's completely black as far as the eye can see. We have very strict rules here about lights at night because dark skies,
the stars in England are incredible,
especially in the Cotswolds and the country where Will's mum is. And around here, it's part of the law of the national park is that you cannot use bright lights and you cannot have bright lights through the night, because what I didn't realize is that it massively affects the ecosystem. Mammals that rely on darkness are really affected by us having a porch light on at night. Didn't even cross my mind. So now, doing my little tourism trip of the UK, all of a sudden, I'm really, really acutely aware of my footprint in the places that I go in a way that I kind of wasn't really before. One of the things I noticed in the Lake District and when I was in the Forest of Dean is that everywhere I went, there was road noise. Everywhere I went.
That's true.
And I don't have that here. And the reason I don't have that here is because the people here have banded together to completely shut down and reject anything that resembles that. And I've realized that I think sometimes to protect things, you have to completely reject modernity. And
so true.
And it's, you know, there are places and times for pushing forward and forging on and innovation, but in order for this village to survive, in order for the animals and the habitats around it and the woodland, in order for the church school to survive, in order for the church to survive, we have to reject modernity. And that means basically pulling up the fort, you know, the drawbridge. And
that even to the point that in several, like half a dozen pubs that I went in England, there were signs, no cell phones, you talk here. This pub only allows talking and connecting, no tech, you know, no social media, no cell phones in your hand. And I loved that, but it's the same as what you're saying. They're fighting to preserve their way of life.
And I didn't really get it before until this trip, because I've went through so many villages and so many pubs and inns and all of this, and there is a marked difference between the beauty, the noise pollution, the light pollution, the littering, the quality of the buildings, the quality of the businesses in the places that are rigid and are rejecting modernity and the places that don't. And yeah, it's just kind of, I haven't quite deciphered this thought process yet, but it's just something I'm absorbing at the moment. And it's not something I ever really thought I would say or feel or think, is like, wow, we do have to stop things progressing in certain ways in order to, and I don't even like that word, it's not progressing. I don't see it as a progression. I don't see losing our woodlands and losing our darkness at dark skies at night and losing, opening things up to new developments. I don't see that as progress. I see that as destruction. So yeah, it's just interesting. It's just all new thoughts for me. And anyways, I'm rambling on and on and on.
No, I wanted to ask you if you think that that's something you might want to get more involved with as you think more about this. Is that developing in your brain? Like you might want to take
I mean, it's not that I would, it's not something that I
mean, not like make it your life's work, but at least have a voice in it. I think you could be influential.
I think so.
You tried it at the hotel and they responded. Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. I think that I know we talked about not doing New Year's resolutions, but one of the things that I think I had mentioned is that a commitment to the environment is a lot more important to me than it's really ever been before. And I don't mean it in a Greta Thunberg type of fucking green juice way. I mean it in my home, therefore affecting the next home, therefore affecting my nieces and nephews, and like a real at-home grassroots trickle along effect of making those changes. And I guess the next step of that is going outside of your home and looking at the woods across the road and going, this isn't right. It is something I think that maybe we should just talk about. I'm not saying that it's some big movement or outrageous thing or whatever it is, but I do think there needs to be more of a conversation around things like dark skies. Why wasn't I taught about this growing up and how important it is?
Yeah, I've until you're saying it now, I've never, I mean, I understand that there's light pollution in the cities. I didn't even think about the animals.
You and me love animals.
Yeah.
We care about this stuff. We care about the environment. Yet neither of us knew this.
Nobody's talking about it.
I
mean, they are, but
nowhere that you and I
usually look.
Most people, we're not environmentalists, we're not Greenpeace warriors, we're none of those things. So I think it takes having little chats like this, and
it takes curiosity. And if you're not careful, every one of us listening, you are only exposed to a tiny fraction of what the world really is about. We have very small lives for the most part. You've got your home, you've got your little town, you've got your city, your state that you live in, you've got your friends, you've got the people you follow on social media, you've got the shows you watch, the books you read, the job you go to.
Your little bubble.
And to go outside of that, like you just said, look at the woods across the street. What's going on over there? That takes curiosity and giving a fuck. It takes giving a shit about other people and about your children's children and about the planet we live on and about the way of life for others. I mean, I was just researching a lot of stuff about the state of the world right now. Shocking. Like billions, the millions and the billions that don't have access to clean drinking water, that are starving, that don't have fucking food. There are countries in the world right now that are experiencing genocide, like to the levels of the Holocaust. And nobody's fucking talking about it because they've got their little bubble and that's safe and that's all they're gonna focus on.
Well, because what can you do about it?
I know. And people feel hopeless and they think, well, who am I? What can I do? I don't have a voice. And I get it. I understand. Trust me. I'm one of those people that's like, you know what? I'm just going to live my own life because I don't even know what the fuck I don't even know where to begin even talking about it. You just feel so sad for it. But the truth is there's a huge world happening all around us. Let's not
Mm.
be so heads up our own asses that we just don't even, we're not even curious anymore.
Yeah, it's all of it. And that's been the big reveal for me, is that I did have my head up my ass, because I would have gone on that trip and it never would have even occurred to me.
Most young
And the
people
reason
do.
it wouldn't have even occurred to me to think about the massive effect that the amount of cars and the amount of people coming through Castle Combe have on the river there, on the pollution in the local area, on how many lights are on just all of it.
Yeah.
And it's only because the woods across from my family home are now being invaded by these eco inverted commas developments. They're not eco at all. It's just total greenwashing of something that may as well just be a block of flats. And I just didn't know. It's not that my head was up my ass. That stuff is, why would I know about the
You wouldn't know.
of
That's what
any
I'm
of
saying.
that, and that's the thing, is
what
that
I'm trying to say about being in a bubble is you don't know what you don't know. You forgot that there's more.
Yeah, and I grew up playing in those woods every day, and never in my life have I known that there's the rarest bat in Europe lives in the woods.
Yeah.
Never have I known that there are 5 endangered species living in the woods. And what I don't understand, and what is making me sad about it, is if South Downs National Park and the Wildlife Trust don't give a fuck about those creatures in that woodland, then who will? That is literally their job. And that makes me feel very concerned for the future, because if they can't protect these animals,
nobody's going to give a fuck.
Then why would anyone else talk about it? Why would anyone else care?
Yeah.
And, it's not just about the woods to us. We're probably moving house. I don't care about the woods just because it's opposite my house. I care about it because what it means and what it stands for. We'll probably be long gone, but those developments will still be there. And eventually the mice will go, the endangered mice, and eventually the newts will go, and eventually the owls will go, and eventually the bats will go.
This is why there's extinctions going on, is because they're pushed out of where they know how to survive, and they won't make it. That's and sometimes it does take something affecting your bubble for you to wake up and get curious about it and start looking at it. That's just how it happens. We don't really care deeply about things sometimes until it's on our doorstep. And that's how people turn their back on most things that are happening in the world.
And I'm not saying feel guilty about all the places you go and all the travel you go. I'm just saying,
not at all.
I think there's just a level of mindfulness that I didn't have before that now is there. And I would love if everyone I knew could have a bit more of a level of mindfulness when traveling and going to villages and doing all of this kind of thing, because your footprint is there in the mud after you've gone. So
and you can start in your own community. I mean, right now, my community is overrun with homeless people. And it's not the homeless people's fault. It's they have nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
I was sitting outside at a restaurant the other day, and a homeless man came up immediately after somebody had left the table, and he started eating off of all the plates. And the waiter came outside and he said, don't do that. Don't do that. I'll box it up for you. I'll box it up. And he took it in the back and he brought the guy out a box, and the guy went away, and he was back 10 minutes later eating off of other people's tables. And I thought, this is out of control. This is a person here. He's completely dehumanized, first of all. But second of all, it's not fair to people who are paying good rent that their sidewalk in front of their house is a tent city. It's not fair for anyone. They can't take their children out for a walk. I don't feel safe walking down my own street because there's a man walking in front of my house screaming like he's getting murdered. and fighting with thin air. And it's just, you see these things around you in your own community and you go, whose responsibility is this? I don't know what I can do. How can I fix this? I don't know who to talk to. Mayor Garcetti should be fucking ashamed of himself because, and he's a friend of mine too. And all he posts is like, I'm so proud of this city. It's so beautiful here. Like, we're doing such a good job. And I'm going, are you seeing my street right now? Because what city are you looking at?
Or any of the streets around you? Have you seen that? I can't remember what it is, but there's an Instagram. There's an Instagram. I followed it for a day and then I was like, okay, I can't follow this anymore. This is so fucking depressing. It is really good. It's bad. It's good, but it's bad. Where is it? It's about how LA has basically fallen and become a completely demilitarized insanity.
It's disgusting and disturbing in Los Angeles right now.
It's called Street People of Los Angeles, the Instagram account, and this video I saw is the train tracks by
Stunning sight. Thousands of packages stolen right off of trains. If your UPS or Amazon package hasn't arrived, it might be somewhere here in this mess. Discarded on a Union Pacific Railroad track near downtown LA. As freight trains slow down or come to a halt.
It was cleared up 8 weeks ago, and that's what it looks like after 8 weeks. And the whole account is basically just showing the truth of exactly what you're talking about.
It's
not the
real.
Not the shit that Gavin Newsom and Garcetti posted.
No, we got to take responsibility, guys, somehow for something in our lives. We got to stand for something, don't we? And be curious. Be curious about what life is like for other people and not just you.
My dad used to love to say that classic old expression, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
That's right.
And it's a great expression.
It is a great expression. Listen, we've been yapping about random things and it's time for the news.
Okay, it's not world news.
It's not important news.
It's Lucy and Annabel news.
What do you got for us, Annabelle Chimichunga Jones?
Okay,
chimichanga?
I don't know. Okay,
I think I was trying to say chimichurri. Isn't that a sauce?
Okay, this just made me chuckle. Guys, look, I know, fuck off me, fuck off you. Kanye West believes his strange wife Kim Kardashian's relationship with Pete Davidson is fake and mocks him for being a bad dresser who shops at the mall.
I'm sorry, have we seen Kanye's outfits in public?
Did you see his little fashion week outfits this past week?
No, I just saw his weird thing that you showed us on the podcast where he had a mask on and gloves and he was pretending to be a white man.
He's got this new girlfriend. Anyway, let's talk about her in a second. It's claimed that rapper 44 has told friends that the beauty 41 and father of his 4 children is making up storylines for her life and that he is sick of it. An insider added that Kanye has been telling pals that Pete wears the worst clothes ever and they look like items from the mall.
That's all he can come up with is that Pete has bad clothes.
Kanye has been telling friends. I know exactly.
Are we 11?
And a girl. Kanye has been telling friends he still feels suppressed by Kim, even though they are separated. He feels he has kept a lot of things quiet for her and he likes to speak his mind, so he feels suppressed. Oh, Kanye has to be selfless because he has a wife. He had a wife and some children and he has to protect their mommy. Poor Kanye. He feels that she is going for the complete opposite of him and it's just to piss him off. Does he think that she's that obsessed with him? So what if Pete Davidson dresses at the mall, Kanye? At least he fucking, his clothes are actual clothes and not fucking military accessories. Look, I love Kanye. You know I love him because he's so crazy, and I just think he is the most fascinating.
Oh my God. Speaking of Kanye and clothes, I have a story for you. I have an insider story. So
oh my God, love when you hit us with an insider story.
Some of my young music students go to Kanye's school, which he created after his mother passed away. Apparently, Kanye has decided that he's going to be besties with one of my good friends who has her kids there. And he's always asking her to like hang out in his office or go to lunch. And the other day they were talking and he said, I love your jacket. Where'd you get it? And she told him the designer. And he said, well, I love this one. I love, because they're handmade by this designer. So everyone's going to be different. And he said, I love the one you're wearing. And she said, well, do you want to borrow it? And he said, yeah, could I? She takes the jacket off of her own self and Kanye puts it on and has been wearing it for the last couple of weeks and won't give it back.
That is very endearing. That's very endearing. But you know that that jacket has been photographed extensively, and your friend's jacket will definitely be in the next Yeezy line for next year. There's going to be a kind of...
I find that very famous people have this thing about clothes where they want to wear other people's clothes. One time I was out at a club with Britney Spears and the waitress came over and she said, I love what you're wearing. Do you want to go? She had the girl go in the bathroom and change outfits with her. And she wore the waitress outfit and the other girl went home in her clothes and kept them. Like these, I don't know what they have about clothing.
Do you think it's because they just
I think they want to be someone else.
They just want to be a regular person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Brittany said to me. She said, my deepest wish is that I could move to a small town and just like open my own clothing shop and just work there at the cash register. That's what they want. They just want to be normal. They want to be someone else. Just want to melt into the mass. It's interesting.
My dad had a couple of nice outfits, but most of his clothes were from Goodwill. So some of his outfits were pretty unique.
Yeah, my dad shops at the mall, just like Pete Davidson, okay? My dad shops
at the mall.
Yeah,
shops
Kanye.
at the motherfucking mall.
Some of my best memories with my dad, we would go to the mall. And because he wasn't in my life regularly on a daily basis, he would take me out to do the fun stuff. He was like the fun parent. So our outing would be that he would take me to the mall and we would separate. He would go to like Radio Shack or whatever and his clothing store, and I'd go into my favorite store, which was Rampage. Do you remember Rampage?
Rack chick.
Oh my God, it was the best store. And what I would do, because I was allowed to get anything I wanted, so I would walk all the way around the store and just pile it on over my arms, have this huge pile at the front cash register. And then my dad would come back into the store and he would just pay. But it's like, it was this really awkward, uncomfortable thing because we weren't close enough to where either of us felt comfortable with him sitting there while I tried stuff on. Instead, this was just like our thing. He would come and pay at the end. So we shop at the mall. Take that, Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye. Have you seen Kanye's new girlfriend, Julia Fox?
No, tell us about her.
She's just she's a shapely woman. She's a curvy, pretty, beautiful white woman. Recently, she was quoted as saying, they've been together for about 3 weeks or something. Like, I can't believe this is my life. It feels like a dream. This whole thing. And then all the commenters in the thing were like, but you've been in this relationship for 2 weeks. What are you talking about?
Wow. I want to know more about your dad shopping at Salvation Army. Did you ever go thrift shopping with him?
We love shopping as well, like you and your dad did. I think when you're not with the parent a lot, you can it's one of the ways that you it's an activity, it's something that we could do anywhere, because I think one of the places that people don't expect to see Joe Walsh or Davy Jones's at Hot Topic or Rampage at the mall. So it's a sort of going unnoticed, you know.
Right. Yes.
And
funny.
we would go to JCPenney and Hot Topic, and he would love to go thrift shopping, but it's not that I specifically remember doing that with him. He just, that's also kind of all that was available where he lived. A lot of the time he lived very rurally, so most of his furniture was from the Goodwill. The couches, the bed frames. He would wear the most maddest outfits, sort of like silver trainers with dad jeans and a grey t-shirt tucked in with like a brown leather kind of Native American looking sort of vest thing over it. He was just a really wacky man.
My dad had the craziest. He had like a suit that was bricks. Like brick print. Yeah, wild men, eccentric, special men.
Not just Kanye that likes to dress like a derp. So what's your news?
Oh, okay. My news. Well, let me pull it up here real quick.
Pull it up, bitch.
My news has to do with Betty White, who just passed away at the age of 99. And the headline is that almost $13 million were raised for animal shelters to honor Betty White's birthday.
Wow.
On her 100th birthday, which was a few weeks after she died, this thing went out on social media called the Betty White Challenge, where people were asked to donate money to either their favorite or a nearby animal shelter or this charity, which she served on the board of directors. And it's called Actors and Other Animals was her charity. Very funny. So people were asked to donate $100, $5, whatever they could. And $13 million were raised and distributed to many, many animal shelters. 100% of the proceeds went to shelters and animal groups. And so she recorded a video for her 100th birthday just a few days before she died, and her team posted it. And she says, "I just want to thank you all for your love and support over the years. Thank you so much, and stick around." And now she's gone, and she loved animals. And so that is echoing after her death. And I think that goes hand in hand with what we're talking about, being part of your community, giving a shit about the world around you, being curious. You can make a difference.
Yeah, little things really can make a difference.
It massively. Really does.
Well, that's very heartwarming. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay. So, news is done. Time for some listener feedback.
All right, listener feedback.
Okay. Great to hear from you guys again.
So last time we talked a little bit about past lives, and this listener says, "I can relate to the past lives part of the new episode. I've had a few myself. I'm not sure how many, but some of the ones I remember, and not in any particular order, are: I was one of the few females who died on the Titanic. This explains my fear of water and boats.
Wow.
I was a female who lived in the 1920s. This explains my love for silent films and why everyone and everything of that era seems familiar to me. Another great episode. Happy you guys are back."
Wow.
That's very, very specific.
Yeah, very
like
self-aware, that one. I like it. This listener said, "Happy New Year. So happy the podcast is back. I missed your banter in my life more than I realized. I can totally relate to the feeling of souls living through other lives. I'm definitely drawn to other places and things. It's nice to hear that you remember too, that just because you don't experience a certain something doesn't mean someone else didn't, and it should be discredited." Yeah, because we were talking about being open to others' views and
experiences.
Yeah. She said she could relate to the comment about the weather, how rainy weather is dubbed bad, quote unquote.
Yeah.
She loves rainy, gloomy weather personally, and hates when news people act like that's bad weather, just like we were saying. Thank you for always helping to bring more things into perspective for me and for sharing your feelings and thoughts. Much love.
Love it, love it, love it. You guys may have seen that on the Instagram, I posted a picture of a magnificent castle. And I posed the question, would Lucy lick this castle? Yes or no? If you listen to the last episode, you'll know that
People were
Lucy
very
is
divided on that one.
a castle licker.
Yeah, well.
Lucy, one listener says, maybe not enough of a romantic ruin, which I agreed with. I feel like the picture I posted, while it was beautiful, wasn't destroyed enough for your taste. One listener says yes, and she may cry too, laughing face.
True.
One listener says, for a Klondike bar, yes. Are you a fan of Klondike bars? Is that a particular favorite of yours? Or?
Well, I do love a good Klondike bar, but the Klondike jingle is, what would you do for a Klondike bar? What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Oh, okay. That's that went over my head.
They're saying I'd like a castle for a Klondike bar.
It says, we know she would. She's a chaos woman and I love her.
Chaos woman.
And I laughed and I said, oh my God, you're right. She's a fucking chaos woman.
I love that. That needs to be a t-shirt.
Chaos woman.
What this listener said about you made a comment in the last episode where you said something was toxic positivity.
Yeah.
And this listener said, toxic positivity is genius. Love you, ladies.
Wish I could take credit for that. I'm not clever enough to come up with a sentence like that, but it is a fantastic notion, the notion of toxic positivity, and something that I believe strongly exists. So
me too.
I'm glad that other people enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, so thank you, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you after this episode, and keep the good stuff coming. The thing we were interested in talking about today that we've gotten to now at the end of the episode, because we're fabulous and we go with the current, is the differences between America and England. American people versus English people. The differences are vast and hilarious and interesting.
And the reason we wanted to talk about them was because obviously Lucy's American, I'm English, and we've both spent a lot of time in both places. And I'm sure that for both of us, there are things that are absolutely batshit about the other country. I feel like I don't really need to go into depth about what I find to be batshit about America. I think we all kind of
probably are on the same
page.
That you're with an American man and I'm with an Englishman.
Yeah, that is funny. Oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Two sides of the same coin. Okay, so to begin, you greet people differently. In America, we say, hi, how are you? And you say, hey, you all right?
Yes.
You all right? You all right?
That just means, hey, how's it going?
Right.
And I think for Americans, it can be like, yeah, I'm all right. Well,
yeah, every time it happens, it makes me go, yeah, why? What? Is something wrong? Because it sounds like you're implying that something's wrong. So you're double checking. Another thing
give me
is,
some more.
Okay, you say, like if you're talking about this cup of tea, you'd say, that's delicious, that.
That's
like,
delicious.
You call something that after you describe it again.
So this is also going to be a regional and class conversation.
Yeah, true.
Because that is a class thing. So a posh person wouldn't say that.
Also, to be fair, is used in England all the time. And I don't hear that in America. We don't say that.
Big.
The pouring cream on stuff. We don't have what we call pouring cream here.
True,
the closest thing we have here would be heavy whipping cream. But even
Yeah.
so, we don't really eat, because you guys pour it on like anything. You just are always looking for excuses to do the pouring cream,
Cakes,
anything.
buns,
Yeah.
yeah, anything.
No, I miss that here so much. English tend to want to be so quiet in public. Americans don't have an inside voice. We don't have what English would call a neighbor voice.
Mm.
We have one volume and it's loud. Every time I'm in a restaurant in England, I notice that everything is way down here and you're speaking so that your neighbor can't really hear you. Do you find that to be true in England?
Oh my God. On the trip that we just went on, we
Yeah.
were at the second hotel we went to at the Lake District, because the first hotel we went to was a disaster. So we had to move hotel rooms the next day.
God.
Oh, and that was, remember last week we talked about things that I was going to do. There was a resolution of saying like, no, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And then all night I laid awake in the hotel on the first night, and I was just dreading the morning because I knew I was going to have to say, this is my big trip to the Lake District. I've wanted to come here my whole life. This isn't working for me.
Good for you. And you did it.
We did it. Anyway, in the second hotel, we were in this little restaurant part of the hotel, and everyone was just, there was no music on either.
No.
Everyone was talking like this.
They're just whispering at their table.
And then Alec started doing it. And I said, huh? What? And I do this horrible thing where I go, huh? Huh? I don't know where I picked it up or why I do it or for what reason, but I go, huh? He started doing it. And I said, don't start doing that. I said, you don't have to, don't talk quietly because it's quiet in here. We're not in a church or a museum. We're in a restaurant. So please just talk to me at a level where I don't have to
lean in. Will's always mortified in restaurants in England because I'm just talking at top level and everyone around me is just staring at the ugly American. And then over here, if we're in our apartment and we're having a fight or something and our voices are raised and he's going, keep your voice down. Just keep your, and I'm going, nobody's here. What are you talking about?
Because your neighbors can hear you and they don't want to hear your foul mouth through the walls.
They do all the time. So yeah, volume of the voice is funny. Maybe that's
agree.
But that's funny because in Austin Powers, he makes that joke where he goes, I'm having trouble controlling the volume of my voice. Like he does that joke and must be something there. That's hilarious. There are some words that I found that are different. So we call it an elevator. What do you call it?
A lift.
And we call it a shopping cart.
Trolley.
Yeah. And we call it a sidewalk.
Pavement.
And we call it a trash can.
Bin.
Yeah. Rubbish bin. Bin. Yeah. Bin. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of differences in the words. And Will says that Americans are way more literal with their words, like trash can, sidewalk. Like where we take, it's like we pointed at things and went, we just
booga booga, me American. This where I walk on side.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's hundreds of differences in the words we use.
Yeah, I think there is a distinct lack of poetry in everyday life in America and romanticism, even down to like what you're saying, trash can, sidewalk.
Yes.
There's no. I think that one of the things.
There's no poetry to it.
There's differences that I notice. Okay, I'm just going to put my phone down and go rogue. Okay. Stop signs. It's everywhere.
Yes, everywhere.
Is there no common sense left that just when the line is there in the road, you just stop. You just put a line and you can either see if a car is coming or it's not. We don't have to have a stop sign every 10 feet.
I know there are. I said that. I made that comment when we were driving through Wales. I said to him, I haven't seen a stop sign like this whole trip. It's amazing. It's so nice to the eye. But you know what? That brings us to a point about driving. Driving in America is absolutely bonkers insane. No wonder it's one of the top causes of death, because it is a free-for-all, and it is
really is
dangerous. And when Will first moved here, he was like terrified in the car, and I didn't know what he was talking about, because it was just normal to me. People speeding, people changing lanes in front of each other, not using blinkers, not stopping.
You
get to England and you see the difference. Everything is orderly. You don't speed up past each other to cut each other off in a lane. So to answer your question, yes, we do need the stop signs, because otherwise
there's no manners.
There's no manners.
One of the things in America that drives me mad is on the road and in general is that most people, other than older generations, have no manners.
No manners. And no poetry in the way we express ourselves and with our language and with our vocabulary. That's one of the things that depresses me most about having to be away from England, is I crave that romantic way of doing things, and that poetry.
Yeah, it is definitely a softer, more romantic. I personally feel, I'm going to say it, this is spicy, sorry to anyone this offends, it's a more civilized way of life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We have healthcare. Nobody's dying because they can't afford their cancer treatment or their diabetes medicine. We're trusted. You pay at the gas station. You fill up your tank and then you pay when you go to the gas station. It's not the other way around. You don't have to have a stop sign everywhere, because there's a level of trust that is how a community works. We have to have good my mind's going back. We have to try to do it. We have to have good kind of instincts. We have to use our common sense. We don't just go zooming through the lines on the road because there's no stop sign there. We check because we care about ourselves, but we also care about other people. And I think that ripples through everything, kind of.
And it's mirrored in the announcement that your government just made about ending all mask mandates from now on. Boris Johnson said in that announcement, "I'm going to trust the judgment of the English people."
Yeah. But you can't be living in some tyrannical state with all this COVID stuff. How long can it last? I mean, COVID stuff aside, we have to trust each other.
Yes.
Or we have nothing.
Trust each other's common sense and judgment for them, what works for them, and just do what's best for you and your family. That's it.
But that has to be nurtured. And it isn't nurtured from childhood in America.
No,
and so you can't expect adults to have those instincts and use those things and have those tools if you're not teaching it to them as children.
Right. You eat differently with your knife and fork than we do, or we do?
Oh, we do.
You. Oh yeah, my God, are you kidding? So yeah, so most people in England would cut with their fork in their right hand, most people in England would cut with their knife in their right hand and then bring the fork in the left hand up to their mouth, which I've come to love doing. But before spending time in England, I was raised that you cut with your right hand and then you put the fork down, you switch your fork over to your right hand and then shovel the food into your mouth with your right hand. And then when you're ready to cut another bite, you would switch hands again.
And what word did you just use? Shovel.
Exactly right. So
it's not a shovel, it's a fork.
Yes, with the English way, with that fork kind of being upside down, you cannot shovel. You must piece a little bite together and daintily put it in your mouth, or it will fall off the fork. So it's a much more civilized way of getting the food into one's mouth.
I've got the best book, which I needed. I mean, my manners are quite good. I went to a very old-fashioned all-girls school. I learned a lot of the classic things, but obviously over the years, things have slipped. So I
Not
got
just your
myself
tits.
things have gone downhill. Yeah. And it's not just the
Not
breasts,
just
as
the big
Lucy
old
has
titties.
mentioned. Thank you. I got myself the Tiffany's Teenager's Guide to Table Manners.
Oh, how lovely.
Great book.
I hope you got me a
Great
copy
book.
because I need it.
There you go. Lucy's reading a really nice book about things, and the book I'm reading is Tiffany's Table Manners for Teenagers.
I'm writing it down.
It's not big, it's not confusing. They've made it's for teenagers, and if you can't handle that, then don't listen to this show anymore because you're a fucking idiot.
I'm gonna buy it for my children who aren't even born yet.
Well, you need to read it. You need to read it first.
I do.
Shoveling things into your mouth.
Keep my English man happy, or he's gonna leave me.
Oh, he's not. Let me say one last intense thing.
Okay.
Before I move on to the light affair, which my sister said the other day, and I don't know where she heard this. Maybe I'm underestimating her and it was an original thought. I don't think it was. But the concept that your employer owns your body.
What?
Health insurance.
Okay.
Your employer can grant you health insurance and make decisions about your body. How bizarre is that?
That is.
Some insurance companies won't allow abortions or won't give you your contraceptive pill. Some now are saying that unless you're vaccinated, we are not going to give you this or we're not going to give you that. It's unfathomable to me that my employer could have any say over what medical choices I make for my body. That blew my mind to think of that, because obviously we all talk about health insurance in America as being a big issue and a big crazy thing, and it shouldn't be what it is. It should be better, and it should, well, first of all, it should not exist, and it should be universal healthcare. But second to that, if you can't do that, it should be better quality product.
Yeah.
But then I really thought about that, what she said, that your employer has a say over yours and your family's body and medical choices.
Pretty
Blew
terrifying.
my mind to think of it. Blew my mind. Okay, the light affair. Small talk. We don't do that. We're not in England. We don't love the small talk.
No, which I appreciate so much because I can't stand it either.
Americans,
you just get in the habit in America.
They love it.
We have a lot of sayings here that you don't have. We say piece of cake here. Do you say that there?
We do, but not as commonly as we do other things.
Means that something's easy. Do you say scoot over?
Ew, no. Why did I have a visceral reaction of disgust? Because I imagined a dog scooting along on its bottom.
Right. Do you say break a leg when you want to wish somebody luck?
Not unless I'm, doing my job in a theatre.
Right.
Where I'm working as a stagehand.
Right.
To say, oh, or mighty break a leg. I went on and I Googled some things today, and there was a great article on the Daily Mail, today that I loved. And it was sayings and phrases that have kind of phased out of English culture. And I love this shit. So I'm going to say some to you, and you're going to tell me if you know what they mean.
Okay, great.
This is one of my favorite expressions of all time. Ryan used to say it. He was the first person I heard saying it. Pearls before swine.
Yes.
Great expression. What does it mean, Lucy Walsh? Do you know?
So it means you're laying out your very best in front of someone that could not appreciate it ever.
Doesn't get it. It's
never going to get it. Swine are never going to understand pearls. It's a great one.
And this expression comes from the New Testament. And the phrase went on to be repeated by some of the most renowned British writers, including Shakespeare and Dickens. And that's when it was popularized. This is a great one. Oh,
Okay.
Nail your colors to the mast.
Yeah, that's a great one. I've never heard it, but to me, it would mean stand up for something, make it official.
Hell yeah. It's about putting your opinion and and just standing by it and flying that freak flag for everyone to see.
Wow,
and obviously a nautical expression.
There's another one that they use in Beauty and the Beast, speaking of that movie again, which takes place
watched it last
France. night. He says, screw your courage to the sticking place. It's from Shakespeare. It's an English saying, and it means, don't lose your courage, be firm, screw your courage to the sticking place.
And what's the sticking place?
Where it's not going to come unstuck, wherever that is, up your coochie, who knows?
Okay. Some of these are so much younger as expressions than I could have ever imagined. Could not organize a piss up in a brewery. Have you had that one before?
No.
So obviously, when someone is so shit at organizing things and so useless that they literally couldn't organize for people to get drunk in a brewery.
Yeah.
That was a very recent expression, and in 1980 that's a great one. Became a popular term.
I know a couple people that couldn't do that. I know who they're talking about.
Oh my god. Ready for the knacker's yard.
So knackered means tired. So does that mean ready to die?
So
because the knacker's yard would be a graveyard, wouldn't it?
It's where you took old or injured horses to the knacker's yard and they would kill them for you and deal with the bodies, and they would use the pelts or whatever it was.
God, okay.
So it was a slaughterhouse basically. And knackers was also once used to mean castanets, which then saw it become slang for testicles. So somewhere in the mix, knacker became a term for being tired,
right,
or exhausted. But no one seems to really know where it went from being, knacker's yard to bollocks to tired.
Yeah.
I used to work in a chip van when I was a teenager in the town centre in Portsmouth in a chip frying van. And in the morning, the postman would come and get their bacon butties and chips from us. So very early in the morning when they were either just about to start their round or finishing.
No, I didn't know what a buddy was before I spent time in England. So
butties, a sandwich made of chips, or you can put bacon in it, and it's just bread, butter, whatever the food item is.
It's a French fry sandwich.
Yeah, French fry sandwich, and it's
so
fucking weird. Gorgeous. If you've never tried it,
no, I mean, it's white bread, like stoner food.
White bread, butter, French fries or chips with salt and vinegar, bit of ketchup.
Absolutely zero nutritional value.
No. It's just fuel. It's just pure calories to steam you through the day.
Wow.
And this postman came up and he said to me, "I'll have a bacon butty, please." And I said, "Lovely." And he had a Portsmouth accent. So he's like, "All right, darling, have a bacon butty." And I was like, "All right, sounds good." And
he said, sex with him?
No. And he said,
I feel like that's where this story's going.
No, he said to me, "And I'll have my bacon knackered."
Oh, yeah,
I said, "Excuse me?" And he said, "I'll have my bacon knackered." So he just wanted it cooked, black, just beyond existence, just fried to a crisp. And I looked at him and I said, "Sir, you are wearing the Queen's royal insignia on your chest. If you could refrain from using such terms, I would very much appreciate it." And he just looked at me so shocked, and then we both started laughing, and I was like, "Okay, so well done, bacon sandwich, got it, one's coming up." He said, "You're not from round here, are you?" And I said, "Well, not really." I was born here, but I'm not from around here.
You must have come straight out of your girls' boarding school, your refinery school, straight to that.
No, I think I was about 19 when I worked there.
Wow.
But I love those expressions. Colder than a witch's tit.
Yep. Love that one.
It's a good one.
Don't know why a witch's tit is cold, but love the expression.
I'll tell you. That's why I like this article, because it tells me where everything came from.
Yeah.
Colder than a witch's tit, meaning cold weather, thought to originate from street slang. The suggestion is that witches were evil and cold-blooded and therefore would not retain body heat, so that tit would be cold.
There you go. Makes sense. Wow. Well, this is very funny. I think we should maybe keep doing this because there's so many to say. So maybe we'll...
On the IG, we can just drop a few nuggets of joy with all of these expressions. Well, I want to hear some more American ones as well. I want you to surprise us with some.
Oh yeah. Let's get it going on the Instagram. I'm looking at so many funny ones here. And it's just, if you think about it, you guys left England to go in search of a new world. So when you got here, you weren't interested in keeping those traditions. They said, fuck everything we were doing. It's like rebelling against a parent. That's what you did when you came here and turned yourself into Americans. So people always say, oh, how did that not translate? Or how did that not make it over here? Well, that's why, because you came over here and you went, I'm going to be the exact opposite of everything that we were. And so you landed somewhere in the weird middle with all these new American
it is interesting
things.
Some of the things that don't translate or haven't made it. Simple things like we say aluminium, you guys say aluminum. We say cling film.
We say saran wrap. We started calling things by the brand. So instead of tissue, we call it Kleenex. Because America is complete. America is complete capitalism and consumerism, where England is not.
That's so true. That is so
a plastic bag, a plastic kitchen baggie, we would call a Ziploc, but that's the brand.
It's a sandwich bag here.
Yeah, no, it's a Ziploc.
Reusable sandwich bag. Yeah.
We are consumerism to the max.
Well, I do always say that. I say that in America, corporations and consumerism is king and country. That's
It is. Yeah.
Do you think that will ever change?
No, I don't think it'll change. I think the world's going to just implode on itself. I don't know what the hell we're headed for, but to be in England where, people are fighting to maintain the night sky.
Oh my God. And I just love to be a part of it. I want to fight to maintain that blackness at night. Good God, woman. I'm gonna. And can I just say, while we're on the subject of the Beauty and the Beast kind of thread through this episode, is that I watched it last night. One of Alec and my favorite films separately, but then we came together and realized that we both loved it. The man knows basically every word to the film.
Love it. It's mine too.
And the candlestick behind you.
Yes. Lumiere.
Looks very much like Lumiere.
Yes, it does. Look at him.
Except for yours is silver and Lumiere is gold. Apart from that, I see no difference.
Mine needs to be polished really bad. But yes.
What's that silver ones?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's gorgeous, bright silver. I need to polish all my silver. It's one of my New Year's projects.
I love polishing silver.
I do too.
If I was there, I would do that with you.
I have so much silver. Look at this beautiful thing. So you noticed my Lumiere candelabra. Look at these stunning chalices. These are also meant to be silver. These are so heavy.
Yes, polish them.
Oh, they're just shining, shimmering when they're done. So you know me. I love my
I've lost
antiques.
You. Wait, by next week, can you have polished something of those items so we can see it?
Yes, you will see the difference.
All right, babe. Well, this has been thrilling.
It really has.
I've loved hearing everything you've had to say this week, your I always love hearing your views and your opinions on things.
I love
You're always
hearing
teaching me
yours.
something.
Yeah, you too. I depend on our time together. I really do.
Me too. All right, Babu. Well, I love you.
All right. Love you too. See you next time.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.